for some sloppy seconds. We got some slop and we're gonna put it in a sock. That's right, it's time for some slop. You guys want it, I know I'm gonna give it, and you guys are gonna watch it. We're all gonna watch it. It's slop. Everybody loves slop. The slop that makes you put it on top. And I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. So, with Twitch chat in tow, and hopefully you guys watching on YouTube, we're going to be enjoying some finality of brain rot. There'll be a link to the video down below, so as ever, as you always should be, please make sure you go give the original content some love. Make sure you subscribe here for my own personal content that I make, and all future stuff. And I suppose that's really all I've got to say. I love you guys. Thank you for putting up with my long old break that I had, and let's get some fun. And here we go.
Worth of a human life. I can't give you that answer.
Is that Germa?
But I can tell you the worth of an elvish
I'll be real,
life,
I've never watched Germa in my life.
And 17 leather.
I don't understand what he is or why he is.
Hey people, Seth.
Hey, Seth, my brain rotted amigo.
Years, I have never figured out how to use a microphone, and for this, I sincerely.
Wait. Yo, did he record this video in my house? Uh-oh. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Seth was in my house. Seth was in my house. No. Huh?
Sincerely apologize. Songs of Six is an ambitiously made, self-styled city-state simulator.
He's in my walls.
For the
He's in my goddamn walls.
Now, imagine you start playing the game, and naturally, you play the tutorial.
I mean, as you can expect from a Seth video, this is going to be a really obscure game that no one's heard of. I certainly not heard of it.
Difference, however, is that over 100 hours later, I am
wait. Here we have evidence of Seth's baseness. Flip Witch Forbidden Sex Hex. Scarlet Dude, the amount... This guy has as many hentai games as he does actual games. The thing is, I can't even chastise him for it, because I've got an absurd level of hentai games on my Steam list as well. However, I want to point out, I did not purchase any of them. All of the hentai games on my list are what people have gifted me. And now my Steam is constantly suggesting me hentai games. I mean, it's pretty based, and some of these hentai games have been kind of fun to play, but that's beside the point. I do not purposely go out of my way to spend money on hentai games when I can just draw it myself.
100 hours later, I am still on the tutorial. This is the story of Jackaton, the default starting location for the tutorial, which is named after the developer. We have no mountains, no natural resources, a sprinkle of trees, a small lake, and generally
kind of looks a bit like Civilization. Oh, not Civilization.
Four neighbors, the city-states of Pagan
what was that game? Sid Meier's
something. Of Starless and Ulisu. In a word, it's not looking very good for us. In the beginning, you start with a couple dozen citizens and a dream of something greater. Unfortunately, we are Crotonians.
This reminds me of a Civilization game I used to play when I was a kid.
Beyond
what was it called?
And farming crops. But for our purposes,
very similar.
They're perfect. And
I quickly started an
these
were my like guilty pleasure to play after school.
But at least we're not starving. Grain has to be processed
like a
by
mix
a bakery,
between Age of
while
Empires
fruit
and Red Alert.
Can be eaten directly. Regrettably, instead of a fruit farm, I started an orchard. I did this on the promise that it's a slow operation with twice the potential yield. To this day, it has produced no fruit, because by the time the fruit trees mature...
Producing no fruit? You mean like my content creation? Been at this for several years, still haven't produced anything notable yet.
Sure, I get a worm infestation and have to chop them all down. Citizens typically prefer locals over immigrants, and the only way to increase the local population is by having children at the local nursery. In this game, a year is 16 days, and each 4 days is a season. A baby becomes a child, and a child becomes eligible for labor at 4 years of age.
Something, something, communism, something, something, China, something, something, sweatshops.
Songs of Six encourages the miracle of childbirth with the economic miracle of child labor. Also, after my pigmen accidentally snacked on all the vegetables in the nursery crib, I can confidently tell you infant mortality has no effect on the happiness of your population. But you know what has an effect on my happiness? Getting paid to plaster my walls with illustrations of naked women. Hang on, guys.
Maxor can literally post porn and nothing happens. But I accidentally show off my butt fangs and the entire internet loses their goddamn mind. Pick a lane, internet. Pick a goddamn lane.
This wall, it's so barren, so dull, so lifeless. Luckily, today's sponsor is Displate. Displate is a unique metal poster designed to capture all your passions. Whether they be Elden Ring, Star Wars, Warhammer, or Call of Duty, Displate has over 2 million...
But are there anime waifus with barely any clothes on? That's my question.
Artworks across hundreds of brands. If you know me, you'll know I love my Displates more than any lame paper poster. But what if... Even better. You see, I can only look at my normal posters. That's a problem. And the solution
but can you perceive them?
Displate's brand new tactile poster collection. Now I can run my fingers along my precious Displates and really feel those tactile textures, 3D contours, and selective matte and gloss effects. And of course, it makes them look even cooler. The new texture finish will be available on hundreds of the best-selling Displates, and Displate looks forward to expanding the library of Displate textures in the following months. So,
this is my new model. It was a surprise model. I wasn't expecting
to get
this.
The selected
I thought this model had been
get with a new texture finish. Transform your walls today with
a long time ago.
And thank you to Displate for sponsoring this video. Your
Something to tie us over until my big project is done.
If you fail to keep your citizens happy, you'll start a failure cascade that ends.
Why does he look like Asmongold? Is that on purpose, or is that... No, wait, I'm being fucking serious, dude. He has exactly the same expression. Like, exactly the same gormless expression. There it is! Okay, maybe not. This guy's got far too much hair.
Ends in ruin. The simulation goes down to each individual citizen and measures the average fulfillment of their needs and desires for that particular race. Race is an interesting topic. Some races don't get along. Some races are
please let this video be monetized.
Some races control our educational sector, our labs, and our academia. But what else?
Oh no, don't worry. This model had no debut. I just went live with it.
I'm talking, of course, about
Not everything needs a debut, my dude.
Humans are troublesome, criminal, and have the lowest sanity score of any race, which means an essential component of any healthy human population is an asylum. But they heckin' love science, which is important.
Okay, Seth is clearly a furry. Only furries use the word heckin'. Heckin' ooh woo and all that jazz, am I right? Like, oh heck. Oh, Murray Purry, Scritchy, yeah, you know what I mean.
This game handles research in a unique fashion.
No one in the real world uses words
No, you research it, and then you have to pass on that generational knowledge across time. Remember, we don't start with paper. We get to that point after multiple generations of oral tradition. And even then, we have to maintain and preserve our existing knowledge against entropy. Almost every other race dislikes intellectualism and prefers to be indoctrinated. This is advantageous, as it fosters loyalty in the absence of happiness. An open mind is an open bussy. Its gates...
I'm not going to say anything. There's nothing to say. I just need a moment to collect myself. I can never anytime I hear the word bussy being used in a sentence unironically, it just sends me. It just completely sends me.
Unbarred and unguarded. Some might argue that great men are made, not born. In the case of Dondorians, that is literally true.
I keep forgetting that SsethTzeentach videos are basically just a exposition of mental illness with gameplay in the background.
They're good at mining, they're good at Minecraft, they're basically dwarves. The Talapi are forest-dwelling elves.
Man, this is actually making me want to play like some civilization-based games at some point. I miss those
They're also known for violating human men for several days before they cannibalize them. Bizarrely, this makes them compatible with a cave-dwelling Garfibi who are effectively bug men. What they lack in skill, they make up for with raw numbers. And there's nothing bugs enjoy more than plucking limbs from the other races. And while most cities will have a mixed population, some races don't.
Dude, no, dude, I swear Seth is a furry. Like, unironically a furry. This man makes more furry references per video than furries making their own references. There is no way this man is not at least furry inclined.
Some
or has, at the very least, 2 terabytes of furry porn on his computer.
get along with anyone. Viamevia are coastal-dwelling lizardmen. They're uniquely xenophobic and incompatible with other races, which is
just
offset
like
by
the
their
British.
Impressive physique and high lifespan. If you want a true monocultural, isolationist experience,
I reject my
lizards.
heritage.
Finally, there are
I'm the most American
races
Brit
you
you'll
can't
ever meet.
normally get. The in-lore explanation is that their populations have been decimated over the course of several great wars. If you control a region containing a haven and
absolutely, he's definitely funded by suspiciously wealthy furries, because only furries are that base to fund somebody who makes fun of them.
Trait.
Furries have that self-deprecation thing. They fund people who make fun of them.
Entire game. There's a bit of an irony in a sense that they're incredibly rare and almost extinct, and the best thing they're good at is getting even more.
This actually looks really interesting.
Are spider leviathans with a voracious appetite. They don't care for anything except food, which may sound simple.
It's gonna sound weird. This game actually looks more akin to Factorio, and maybe it's like the isometric kind of top-down vibe of it. But it looks like as about as complicated as Factorio. And it's got as much intricacy as Factorio, which instantly ostracizes me from playing it because I can't pay attention and learn anything for more than 5 minutes without getting completely sidetracked.
Until you realize the logistical nightmare of providing 4 meals a day to every person on the map. The Cantors may ask for more up front, but they're easier to satisfy. Generally. Once, I arrested 2 people at the same time, but only had 1 courtroom. One of the 2 arrested thieves had no legal representation. They considered this a complete breakdown of my legal system and left in disgust. But at the time, I knew none of this. I was a young blood, desperate to turn a profit and expand my settlement. YouTubers are a prime example of
it's my wife,
the least amount of skill and intellect. In a fair society, these are the people who should be toiling in the coal mines and dying of black lung. Appropriately, I simulated this by importing Garfimi slaves and renaming them to my favorite content creators. I
hope I'm in there.
Invested so much into this coal mining operation only to find out I've spent several in-game years for a tar pit.
I love being enslaved by superior content creators to their own content games.
But because of the size and scale, the cost of maintenance alone sent me into the red. On the other hand, I found out slavery is actually quite well received, as my
Shut up. I know I'm British. Shut the I know. You don't need to say it. I am very self-aware. Also, Daddy. Wait. I know that artist. He draws a lot of gay. Like, that guy draws a lot of gay. Big buff gay whilst they're all over the. Man, I love being an artist that knows a lot of other artists.
My citizens enjoy a slave population so long as it's not their own. My settlement grew, and unfortunately, crime had become an issue. Another day, another
the only crime around here is not being tier 3 subbed to my channel.
Arrests had to be made, but because I spread myself so thin, I didn't have the resources or manpower to enforce it. And so, the public indecency continued until I increased my coverage. And after the prison started filling up, I am forced to make a difficult statement. Dundorians are
difficult statement? No. Executive dysfunction. I can't make a decision to save my life. Why would you expect me to pick one in this game?
Pests. Of the 5 indecent exposers, all 5 have been dwarves. I have no further comment. At this point, I was earning capital by export.
Hey now. Stereotypes exist for a reason, okay? TF2 streams when? We've done them. And we're probably going to be doing some more Team Fortress 2 streams in the future. In fact, we've got some Team Fortress 2 content we're going to be reacting to real soon as well.
Furniture. This game doesn't have a fixed economy. Trade prices fluctuate and work on the rules of supply and demand. Basically, if you can make your own, that's strongly encouraged. If you have excess to sell off, that's good too, but overtrading a commodity can apply disproportionate pressure on the value, which is minimized by the number of trade partners. So, if you want money, you better diversify. But if you don't...
I mean, as Mr. Krabs would say, I like bussy. That's like a 100% a Mr. Krabs quote. If you cannot quote me a SpongeBob reference or a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air quote in every single sentence, we can't be friends.
Poverty also has its advantages. If our treasury is empty and we're dead broke, guess what? Our diplomatic gifts mean a whole lot more, which is important because if our reputation drops to 0 with any of the 4 factions bordering us.
My God, this guy has bigger boobs than I do. That's not fair. Why was I not gifted with beautiful boobs at birth? Why am I stuck in the B's of the life? Like B cups. Just a crumb of cup size, please. Please.
We're getting invaded, and with a current standing army of
so Seth is 100%
men,
bisexual.
I don't fancy my chances.
Actually, you know what?
So I would intentionally dip my savings into the red, plead, cry, and defecate in front of my neighbors, and a pathetic display made me an unattractive target for assault. I would reputation farm into the multiple thousands so I could reliably forget about it for the next dozen years, while enjoying the benefits of almost zero taxation on all trade. This gave me a lot of time.
So, like the 1%. Ah, yes. What a glorious day to avoid taxes.
Time to experiment and figure out what I'm doing. Firstly, I tried mining gemstone. Subsequently, I failed at mining gemstone. Instead, I used the natural fertility of Jacketon and turned it into an opium plantation. I still had a lot of Garfeman slaves left over and put them to work in fields of poppies and cotton. However, I got overly ambitious and my bugs got a little rowdy. There is no other situation where the following words can be said.
What time? Check my schedule on Discord. In fact, if any of you guys are watching on the YouTube side of things, by the way, this is a glorious time for me to remind you of my glorious and absolutely delightful Discord server where you can keep up with everything we're doing, take part in events like our current Warhammer review thing that we're going to be doing in the near future. There is my stream schedule that'll show you what time we're doing stuff and when. A bunch of really awesome goobers that like overusing my emotes and stickers for whatever reason. So make sure you go join the Discord.
Subsequently, we abolished the practice, not on moral grounds, but because they robbed my throne and took just about everything. Happiness was at an all-time low among my Dundorians, so I tried producing alcohol and opened a tavern.
Rotund little boy.
Access was terrible and supplies were so low that it just made them angrier.
Ignoring
so
the fact
I tried satisfying food preference instead. Mushrooms, fish, complex proteins. Then I restricted everyone to just eating bread, and they were happier. Additionally, I tried introducing fine dining
literally a carbon-based life form made up of proteins
almost lost the game
with complex
to a public riot. Not only did I fail to meet
compromise
supply,
of logical
but each
thinking.
time I did so, a citizen would starve, spiraling into a vicious loop. Their desire for the McMenu was
Are we
so
sure this
strong
isn't just like
that it
post-Brexit
overrode
England
their
simulator?
survival instinct to eat street food, preferring instead the embrace of death. This was not a plague of famine. It was a plague of choice. After the many
this is
lessons
literally
learned,
post-England, post-Brexit England.
Cooking is forbidden, and our entire food pyramid is bread. Finally, I did make a breakthrough in citizen satisfaction.
That's all we can afford,
it turns
bread.
out that when I select and look at a random peasant, they are not meant to be caked in shit. And only after building bathhouses 40 hours into the game
not unless you visited the south side of London.
Around this time, I also realized, after reading the tooltip, the reason for my insane cost of maintenance. You see, buildings have walls. Walls increase isolation. I did not build any walls.
Isolation.
Do I have to rebuild
like
my
me
entire
never being
city?
invited
Yes,
to people's
I did. I rebuilt the whole thing, and I learned
always
to
being
love
by myself.
city planning. Building design is incredibly fun, and there's no greater satisfaction than having an elegantly designed laboratory for optimal shitting, pissing, and sharding. In the end, you take so much pride in what you've built. Am I coping? Yes, absolutely. But after numerous trials
that's something
and
we
tribulations, I
can
had
very
a
much
stable,
relate to, Seth.
diversified
We're
economy
both coping.
and a series of shacks
I'm coping with my neurodiversity,
civilization. Also,
and you're
I
coping
promoted
with
the
not being a
4-year-old
porn
to become
addict.
nobility. Because it's funny, nobles provide a variety of beneficial effects, and currently
other way
they're a work
around.
in progress. Or, as the developer translated to me, they cannot betray you yet. Everything was calm and peaceful until we found a Kryptonian with his eyes scooped out. On the body was a note signed Jake the Invincible.
Okay, I'm gonna be real, guys. That was me. Like, I'm just gonna come clean. That was me. But you have to understand, I was kind of hungry. Like, it had been at least 5 minutes since I'd last snacked on something. And that guy was just walking by, and his eyeballs looked really, really tasty. So I snacked. I can't help it. I'm very snack-pilled. When the hunger strikes, I got a snack. You know? It's like Pringles. When you pop, you can't stop.
Claiming that he's saving lives by returning them to his forgotten god. Our city had a serial killer. Another day, another victim found dead.
I'm not a serial killer. I'm a serial snacker.
And this was clearly a racially targeted crime. Terror ruled the streets, and we had no leads. It wasn't until a passerby claimed to see a Kryptonian woman fleeing the scene. This information didn't add up, but we tortured a confession out of him, and they pleaded guilty to all crimes. The serial killings promptly stopped.
Somebody
Jake
get
the
Cluedo
Invincible
in on
was identified
Inspector
to be a
Cluedo in on this.
middle-aged Kryptonian woman predating on her own people. We sent the killer...
Hey guys, I just got news from the local police. They just found a guy dead in a bathtub, covered in frosted flakes. They say they're on the lookout for a serial killer.
Into the arena to be chopped into pieces for the spectacle of a crowd. We gave their body as much respect as it deserved. We pissed on it and dumped it into a mass grave. Serial killings are rare, and they're not often so straightforward. You might get the wrong guy and torture out a false confession, or the trail simply goes cold from lack of evidence. Eventually, beyond exports and fields of opium, I found the most lucrative source of cash. I would intentionally reduce my army down to 0 to try and entice rebels to attack my city. The moment this happens, I hire mercenaries, crush the invaders, and
always for social experiments, only to test
this
your
sent
society.
Me from borderline broke to $500,000 in the bag. Now, hiring mercenaries is incredibly expensive. Paying them is even more expensive, but they handle their own supply.
Just do what England does. Raise taxes. At this point, raising taxes has become a national pastime of a yearly event. Oh no! Looks like Boris Johnson can't afford his 3rd yacht visit of the year. Well, I guess we're going to raise taxes again. Oh no! We haven't burned enough aborted fetuses for Margaret Thatcher. Time to raise taxes.
And they're instantaneous. I used them to conquer a neutral region, and
that is
as I
literally
did,
England.
My brain expanded, and my neurons started firing, because suddenly, I can hire more. For each region under my control, I get access to 5 extra mercenary companies. So I hatched a plan. Take all my money, raise an army of mercenaries, and conquer Winsta, the weakest nation I could find nearby.
Hey, Dipchat! Thank you for the reset, dude.
Eventually,
thank you. Let's like it.
To their capital. I sold everything to keep those mercenaries paid. I almost ran out of money. If that siege lasted a day longer than it did, I would have lost. But in the end, it was worth it, because I reached the max limit of mercenary companies, and I could now recruit enough men to overpower anyone. Problem is, they're asking for $750K up front, with a daily fee of $100K. Soldiers of fortune.
And like that, my attention for this video has gone out the window because you've involved mathematics. Nope. Alright guys, looks like we're going to be playing some video games real shortly. I need to dull my brain from all this thinking I need to do.
Have a steep asking price. But what if the Golden Horde could pay for itself? I've been on the back foot of negotiations, pleading and groveling to my neighbors for mercy.
Can somebody teach me how to math? Because I really got to try and understand
I muster a short-lived but massive army, declare war,
I think the problem with
Sseth, army, and immediately...
The problem with Sseth's video is that he ostracizes a huge amount of the community because he requires people to use their brain. Because not everyone can think on the same level of Sseth. In fact, very few people are able to think on the same level as Sseth. No one is that gigabrain, which ends up being a problem because then people end up watching his content solely for the complexity and the spectacle that is SsethTzeentach's mind.
Immediately sue for peace, to which they have no option but to accept my favorable terms. The best part about shotgun diplomacy is you already know the answer each time, because once they surrender, we do it again until we empty their entire treasury. Unknowingly, they just paid for their own demise. The century of humiliation was over as Jefferson turned on their allies.
That is so gigabrain.
No longer
also, I'm getting kind of like
be extorted each time it's their
vibes
nephew's birthday. Tegenval and Sluva were too small to resist. The Elvish Empire of Starless to the north was a different story, but led to the development of strategies I'd replicate going forward. Economic hyperwar is the act of manipulating the enemy.
Dude, I can't. No, I can barely formulate enough brain cells and neurons to make coffee in the morning. I can't. It looks like the average high school presentation I had to look at for what we were learning in the given day.
Decisions that are numerically beneficial while destroying them internally. We invade cities, sell them back to the enemy, only to invade them again. Then we use them as bartering chips for other cities. Take control of those cities, demolish the walls, and advance our front line. We remove the need for extended siege and reduce the enemy to a single fight. There was only one exception to this. As luck would have it, the human empire
of
the South had the largest standing army in the world. Even if I recruited every mercenary, I would still be be outnumbered 2 to 1.
Wow.
So I drained his treasury and I waited. Eventually, he could no longer afford to maintain his army and fell
Battle of attrition.
like the rest of them. Jackaton lives by a simple proverb: feed the earth and it will feed you. But we fed the earth so much that nature herself is vomiting up red. There's too many prisoners of war and not enough mass graves to go around.
We need more body pits. We need more corpse pits. The ground can't hold that many. We've run out of real estate, man.
As morbid history as I took the rest of the map. Jackaton is now the single-state empire of a world. Resources are limitless. Currency is infinite, for we possess an infinite money printer. I don't know what it is. Something about my brain gets very stimulated looking at declare war on them, take all their money from a peace treaty, invade them anyway, and install a new puppet to repeat the process.
Whoa,
I have, in every sense, completely rigged
smart.
the system. But like Sisyphus reaching the top of a mountain, I had nothing left to struggle against. And so too did I lose my interest. So I made a
Okay, so we know Sseth and Russian Badger and Maxor are all making a video on that new not Baldur's Gate, fucking the other one, that other fantasy game that came out recently. Haha.
Decree.
I totally didn't forget the name of it because I'm so
If you're ever interested in ending the game, just click prosecute on your main population. Guards start arresting citizens, then they arrest other guards before being arrested themselves. Prison wardens get jailed and break out of their own prisons. Chaos and pandemonium rule the day as everyone turns on each other and eventually they turn on me. In summary, Songs of Six has a very expansive, detailed, and enjoyable tutorial. At 160 hours of playtime.
What? Dude, how does Maxor have this much spare time? Like, I swear Maxor puts out one video a goddamn month. And then the rest of the time he just spends gaming. And I am so envious.
Wait to play the actual game. This may not take the spot for Game of the Year. As we all know, that's reserved for Churn Vector, but it's a very close second. The
Churn Vector?
The changing of seasons.
Is this a hentai game? I'm gonna do the terrible decision of looking for this. Churn Vector. Churn Vector. What is this? I am very glad I did not Google this. I am very glad I did not search this up whilst I had my Steam up on stream. Because I have once again been given more evidence as to why I think Maxor is a furry.
The music, the scale of a simulation. Considering this is written in Java, I have no words. There's no other game where the line between city builder and sociopathy is so blurred. To demonstrate this, for my second playthrough as the Garfimi, I proposed a novel form of meat production. It's less of a ranch or a pasture, and more
of a social experiment. More of a case study as to the self-deprecating nature of the human mind to solve quandaries of life. Do you kill one person to save this society? Or do you kill the society to save the one person? Or do you choose the superior option of killing everybody to start again in another generation and ignore the genocide you committed prior?
The tilapia nursery. For reference, at a consumption rate of half an apple a day, a fully grown tilapia child costs us 32 apples, but gives us twice that amount in meat and leather. And once they're adults, we arrest, execute, and butcher them.
You give me a tier 3 sub,
soup
I'll give you
is highly effective.
500 kilogram bomb.
Humans don't agree with cannibalism because they're bigoted chuds that can't grasp the richness of Garfimi culture, their stomachs can't complain. So, what have we learned today? 1. Prisoners are the ultimate cash crop. Labor is a resource, and so are they. 2. Look past people and their differences, and see them instead as a source of protein. 3. Much like real life, retirement is economically unfeasible and exists only as a carrot and stick to motivate the working class.
You know what
I give this game my highest recommendation. I give it no days of food out of we're about to starve. And because it's mainly one guy and not a corporate entity, I can just ask for a sale. If you're interested, it's 20% off on GOG.
Thank you, Sseth, for an amazing insight into the workings of modern Britain. Oh god, I'm never gonna get by how friggin' like I seriously have to start setting a donation incentive for every time we watch one of these videos to pay for the psychiatric treatment I'm gonna need to get through having watched one of these videos. Oh boy!